Yellowstone National Park may be a place of stunning beauty and awesome animals, but some of the most interesting sights are these smelly holes that reek of sulfur, because what's below them can suddenly come roaring into the light of day. The first white men to stumble upon this region thought they'd found the place where hell meets earth. Actually, it's just geothermal energy bubbling up from the earth. Park geologist Hank Hessler says it's the largest concentration of geysers and such anywhere.
We have over 10,000 geothermal features in the park.
At Yellowstone, you can see geothermal power popping out in all sorts of ways: bubbling, huffing and puffing, quietly oozing, sputtering, and when things get wild, exploding, gushering, noisily shooting out and blowing up far towards the sky. America's biggest, hottest magma chamber right below Yellowstone is responsible. Leading geothermal expert Dave Blackwell says it generates enough energy to power tens of millions of American homes.
It's potentially equivalent to something on the order of 10 to 100 nuclear power plants.
Federal law forbids drilling to ever use Yellowstone's geothermal power. If drilling were allowed, it could wipe out these beautiful geyser fields. But Hessler says in some future extreme energy crunch, the U.S. could change its mind about preserving them. Americans, the true owners of the park, might say,
the power we can get from here is more important than the beauty and the wilderness aspect of Yellowstone.
But Blackwell says new technologies can prevent that day from ever coming. Most of the country isn't like Yellowstone or the area in California known as the geysers, where magma chambers are right below the surface.
You drill a well there and just pure steam comes pouring out of the ground, and you don't have to do anything except run it through a turbine.
But now new technologies can use cooler water from closer to the surface and more easily fracture the rock to get to it, meaning geothermal power can be retrieved from all over the country.
We can apply geothermal energy essentially anywhere in the United States.
Which also means it could someday make up as much as 1/5 of America's power, according to a recent MIT study. Some of the most interesting research goes on in Texas, home to thousands of oil and gas wells. Now, drilling's always been a risky business. You never know when you'll actually strike it rich, and if you do, how long the oil or gas will flow. But one thing's true, you always hit lots of hot water on the way down, and new technologies can now turn that underground hot water, or geofluid, into geothermal power.
When that gas well plays out, and they all will eventually, or you hit a dry hole, you can take the geofluid out of that and generate electricity for the next 30 to 40 years.
Loy Snary works with a new technological wonder called the Green Machine.
Our equipment can use the hot geofluid that comes up out of the ground, run it through our equipment, and turn it into electricity that's emission-free without utilizing any fuel. It's actually utilizing the heat that would have normally been wasted.
The Geothermal Lab at Southern Methodist University wants to drill a well on campus and then pump the geofluids they hit through the Green Machine to hopefully someday make the whole campus energy independent.
To tap into the energy that's below us, and it's right there.
Maria Richards of SMU's Geothermal Lab says the energy is green and clean with no carbon footprint, and it's really secure.
Because a well in the ground really doesn't care if there's a hurricane over it or a tornado.
John Dwyer of Coal Development Company has much the same dream as SMU, but for a huge business park near Dallas. He wants to use the geofluids that oil and gas drillers run into below Coal's property to eventually provide all the power for the businesses in the park.
Try to use that waste product instead of just throwing it away and disposing of it somewhere.
Now already the technology exists to use the geo-warmth of the earth to turn your home into a user of clean green energy that'll slash your utility bills.
Up to about 75%.
John Blackall installs geothermal systems at homes like this one outside Dallas. His crews drill wells all around the property and then run pipes through them to carry water down to a loop field far inside the earth and back up again, using the ground's constant temperature to make the water cooler in the summer and hotter in the winter.
The earth being 60, 65 degrees at 250 feet deep in North Texas, this unit, no matter how hot it is outside, is tricked into thinking it's a cool spring day.
But because the system costs so much up front, it takes customers several years to recoup those costs in energy savings.
Currently there's up to a $1,500 tax credit, but that's not much.
Blackall's dream is that government will get really serious about giving such enormous tax breaks for geothermal. Even the poorest Americans in the poorest apartment clusters can afford the systems.
And we could put a community loop field in. Those are the people that really need this. They're the people that can't afford high electric bills.
Not only could geothermal save energy users big bucks, it could seriously cut down America's need for fossil fuels. Paul Strand, CBN News.